What's up, everybody?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Free UFC Bet Picks live show.
Yes.
We're here talking about UFC Vegas 27, Font versus Garbrandt. Really exciting card. Lots of close fights. Lots to get into. So before we do, I just want to say at the end of this video, we will be saying some parlay legs for future cards to include with your parlays this weekend. So stay tuned for that at the end. Anything else you want to say before we dive into it?
No, really exciting card. Like she said, lots of tough fights. We've been looking for parlay legs. You know, we want to play the Avalanche or pretty much anything we play, we parlay it typically, right? But it's really tough on this card. There's so many parlay legs that I feel really safe with for next week, and so yeah, you know, stay tuned at the end for those futures.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll get started here with our prelims, working our way to the top just like normal. First up, we've got a lightweight bout between Rafael Alves and Damir Ismagulov. Damir, heavy striker. He's a Muay Thai practitioner. He's very dominant in all his fights. He's got a great fight IQ. He's the head, and it's actually, the line has favored Alves weigh-ins, which is interesting. Just a tiny bit, though. And yeah, he's going up against Rafael Alves. His UFC debut, he had his win on Contender Series. He's the underdog here, plus 450. He is on a 5-fight win streak right now, and at weigh-ins, he looked jacked. He looked really good at weigh-ins, which is why money has been coming in on him. He's got solid jiu-jitsu and his powerful body kicks, so this should be a really fun fight. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be sweating, but I do think Damir is going to just have, he is bigger. So like you said, Alves did look really jacked. Alves used to fight at 145. He's moved up to 155 here, and you could tell that 10 pounds of muscle just went straight to his core, all muscle. So he looks really thick. I think, that he could see some cardio problems. Damir is like a tall, kind of slender fighter and really muscled as well, right? But he, even though Alves looked really thick for sure, Damir is bigger. Should have the edge everywhere. Damir's been out a long time, and so before he had the layoff, he was on a 17-fight win streak. His last win was against Thiago Moises. It's huge. He beat Joel Alvarez, who we like a lot. So, he was on like a tear, looking like a future lightweight contender.
Yeah.
So, wanted to wait for weigh-ins, wanted to see weigh-ins. He looked great. I think Damir is going to roll here. Yeah. Going to be maybe a household name, maybe like performance of the night bonus. Rafael kind of built his resume up. He's got a good record, but beating a bunch of cans, to be honest. So I think Damir is going to roll pretty safely here.
Yeah. And what are you thinking about DFS? DraftKings, we got Alves at 6,700 and Ismagulov at 9,500, the priciest.
Yeah, so I honestly don't think he's that great. He's probably an okay cash play, right? But I don't have him as a core play. This fight is not one of the fights that are most likely to end inside the distance. It's likely we can see a decision here, so or a late finish. So I kind of think it's a pass. And honestly, Alves might not be the worst punt play ever. He's probably just going to go get smoked, and Damir's going to look 10 times better than him, and so. But I could see it being something of a stalemate, something of a low volume affair, and Damir being not in the optimal lineup despite winning easily.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next fight here. It's another lightweight bout between Medeiros and Damir Hazovich. Medeiros is boxer. He's got good cardio, uses his length. He's going up against Hazovich, who is he's a good striker. Might have some good cardio, has not been the best in the past, though he at the weigh-ins today. I mean, they both looked great, but maybe he's been improving on his cardio. And yeah, what are you thinking about that fight?
It is a tough one. One of the closer lines on the card, Medeiros is a slight underdog, and to me, that's a little bit surprising. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, but those losses look better and better. Cerrone, Gillespie, and then Lando Venata just came off a big win, right? So like these losses look better and better. Before that, he beat good fighters. He beat Cowboy, Oliveira, and so Yancey, I was surprised he was the underdog when the line came out.
Mhm.
I was really surprised that money didn't pour in on him. I'm surprised this line has stayed still. It makes me a little concerned that there's some, you know, some like Eastern European sharks that know something that we don't, or something, that continue to pour money in on Damir Hazovich.
Mm.
Hazovich isn't like he's an okay striker. He probably wants to try to wrestle here. He did look nice and thick at the weigh-ins. It's funny. He had the really kind of comical last fight against Renato Moicano, where Moicano submitted him and then was talking smack, and Hazovich was like, "What's going on?" And they had beef after the fight. And then when they were about to, get the final, or get the announcement from Bruce Buffer, Hazovich said, "I'm sorry." Moicano tells him, "Sorry, I just wanted to keep fighting." And Hazovich says, "Well, then you shouldn't have submitted me." And it was, I'm not doing it justice, but I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about. And it was a really funny moment. And so Hazovich, he's kind of like a good character, but I haven't seen anything especially impressive out of him. He's finished a couple low-level fighters in the UFC, but when he gets any step up in competition at all, like Christos Giagos and Moicano were his last two. They're both losses. I can't remember who he beat before that, but it was nobody good. And I do know he lost to Alan Patrick, who got respect for him, but Alan Patrick is a parlay leg that you can fade coming up. I think it's Mason Jones, right? If I remember off the top of my head. So, none of his wins look good. He's got a couple recent losses to decent fighters. I think Yancy Medeiros is kind of in that conversation with Renato Moicano and Christos Giagos. I'm not the only one. A lot of folks are picking Yancy.
Yeah.
Which continues to confound me that money's not pouring in on him.
Right.
So it's a tough one. Let me see if I got anything else here. Yeah, it is tough because Yancy doesn't have any really takedown ability. So if Hazovich does start popping him in the stand-up, Yancy's going to have to deal with it. Where, again, hypothetically, it looks like Hazovich could have the wrestling advantage just on paper, on stats, and looking at them at the weigh-ins. So it's sketchy, but we'll take Yancy as the underdog.
Yeah. And are you playing either of these guys in DFS?
If one of them, one of them fits in your lineup salary wise, I wouldn't blame you. But I do think this one's going to go to the over. So I'm not playing a ton of either one of them. Like neither one, I might find them in a lineup or two, but I'm not making sure that I do.
Gotcha. And if you do want to,
which means first round knockout, you should play both sides. Just put them in every lineup.
Yeah. Well, if you do want to add them, Medeiros at 7,800 and Hazovich at 8,400.
See, I think Yancy, that's a solid play. 8,400 for Damir, I think, is way too pricey.
Yeah.
I don't know what people see. I honestly don't know how you can watch their fights, how you can look at their resume, look at the people they fought, and price Damir at 8,400. Wow. Okay.
All right. So next up, we've got a featherweight bout between Josh Coolibaugh and Yalan. Coolibaugh is the favorite here, minus 270. He's a good striker. He's got decent jiu-jitsu. He did really well against Charles Jourdain, and striking-wise, I think this matchup is going to be easier than that. Yalan, the underdog, at plus 205, primarily a wrestler. So he could wear Coolibaugh out, but at weigh-ins, at weigh-ins, he was built like a wall. I mean, he was short and stacked. He looks very ready for this fight, and this should be a really good one. What are you thinking?
This is a tough one. So we like Coolibaugh a lot. I remember when we were tape studying the Jourdain fight, we were saying, wow, we're definitely going to put Jourdain in parlays, but I'm scared because this guy looks really good. And then he came in and fought really well against Jourdain and, went to a draw, of course. So we like Coolibaugh a lot, have a lot of respect for him. But, our Instagram followers, we posted a reel a couple days ago. It's got like 2,000 views on it, even though we don't have nearly that many followers. I don't know how that works, but Shaw loves to get double underhooks, get the body lock, and just slams people. He's a really good wrestler. And so it's interesting. Yeah. Other shows that, do post weigh-ins, they're like, oh, well, sketched out after the stare downs and I don't want to play Coolibaugh anymore. We were able to find tape easy on Shaw, and every fight, you can check our reel from 5 days ago on Instagram. Yep. Every fight, he's just slamming people. So it is tough. I do think Coolibaugh is just going to have him outclassed. Coolibaug's taller, and I have Coolibaugh in parlays because I put him in futures before I was able to do the tape study. I haven't put Coolibaugh in any parlays in the last few days since watching tape. Coolibaugh should win. He's the official pick for sure. But I don't think he's safe for parlays anymore. And I don't think he's going to go in here and knock this guy out. I think it's going to be a messy fight. So I definitely lean to the over. Fight goes to decision, and I think it's going to be a close decision.
Is there even underdog value on Yalan? Or
I think so. But, I think there's underdog value on him. And if you're a dog hunter, like, I would definitely play him. It's not how I roll. I'd rather pick 2 favorites that I'm really confident in.
Right. What are you thinking about DFS on these guys?
I don't know prices, but I think Shaw is probably good value, especially with the new scoring system that favors wrestling and control time. What do we got?
Yeah, he's at 7,100 and Coolibaugh at 9,100.
Yeah, I don't think Coolibaugh's just going to go in here and knock this guy out or anything.
Yeah.
I think Coolibaugh's overpriced, probably going to be over-owned, and I think Shaw is good value there for sure.
Yeah.
Probably, I think Shaw's just good value. I was going to try to talk about, GPP versus cash, but I think he's just solid.
Yeah.
For a punt play, right?
All right. Our next one is a flyweight bout between Victor Rodriguez and Bruno Silva. Rodriguez is the underdog here at plus 270. He's a good striker. All 5 of his wins are by TKO. He did lose his UFC debut, but it was against Adrian Yanez, so can't hold that against him too much. He's going up against Bruno Silva, who's the favorite here, minus 370. Bruno's got big striking power. He's got good grappling. He's got a really damaging low kick. And, yeah, all these fights are so good, and I'm looking forward to all of them. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, so I hope I don't jinx it, but this is one of the easier ones to pick, right? We all like Bruno Silva. He's on a losing streak, but against major studs, and every one of those fights is close. Every one of those fights, people even pick him as an underdog, and then he almost comes through. He's really solid. To me, Victor Rodriguez is kind of knockout or bust. He's a good fighter, but I think Bruno's just going to have him, covered everywhere, really. Rodriguez is a little bit bigger at weigh-ins, but not concerned. This is one of the fights that's most likely to end inside the distance. So I think Bruno is one of those fighters that you want to go ahead and pay up for. I think Bruno's really live for a finish here. He's fighting under, I'm blanking. I want to say Kings, but I don't think that's it. It's, where Cejudo trains. I wonder if we have a chatter that could tell us. Michael, tell us where Cejudo trains. He's looking really good under that new Cejudo tutelage. So, I think he's got the cardio, he's got the durability, he's got the skill. Rodriguez is a tiny bit bigger, but that's no biggie. So, it's I think Bruno is a parlay lock. Likely, I think the prop inside the distance is totally live, and I think he's a great DFS play.
Yeah. All right. Our next one is Claudio Silva versus Court McGee. So Claudio Silva, this is a pick'em fight here. We've got Silva at minus 110 and McGee at minus 116 last time I checked. Silva's got solid jiu-jitsu game, so he's going to want to take this to the mat. But even if they do get up on their feet, he does have decent striking as well. McGee, lots of experience in the UFC. He has been on a losing streak recently, but we've seen him do good on the mat before, and I think over Silva, he might have a little cardio advantage. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, I think Court is a decent play here. It's tough to really call him the underdog because it's basically a pick 'em, but
right.
I kind of consider him an underdog pick here, which I'm surprised about. He's way bigger. He's got the reach. He's taller and just way thicker than Silva. Silva has nice finishing, ability in his past. Was on a long win streak, fighting nobodies, but he never kind of got into that top 15 and got into a contender type of notoriety, right? And got into that ranking where he could actually fight some really tough fighters. Court McGee used to be one of those really tough fighters. We know he's not anymore, but he did look really good at weigh-ins. Like you could tell he's not just here to cash a check. It looks like he's taking it really seriously. It looks like he had a really good training camp. And I do think that he could jab his way to a victory or lay and pray and stay safe from submission. So I think Court is I think Court's a good play. I do think Silva could get a finish. So I think Silva's an okay like GPP play in DFS. If he wins, it's by finish. I think if this fight goes 15 minutes, Miggy's definitely going to be on top for five to 10 of that. And the striking should be pretty even, I think. Maybe Silva's a tad flashier. He's got some nice overhands and stuff like that. And Court just keeps it pretty straight up the pipe. But I think McGee's a pretty good, and I think him by decision is highly likely. I almost feel like that's a parlayable plus money prop. I think that's extremely likely.
I'm just trying to find McGee by points is plus 190.
That's
so
fast, nice job.
Yeah, that would be a really good one.
Yeah, I think that's cashing.
And what about DFS? Are you playing either of these guys? McGee at 8,000 and Claudio Silva at 8,200.
Silva maybe in GPP, like because of the finishing ability.
Yeah.
And maybe Court and cash, but neither one am I running, to go play. Highly likely to go to decision. Not going to be one of the higher scoring fights on the card, I don't think.
Right.
But if you're playing a bunch of lineups, I could see you having one of each of them. One GPP for Silva and cash for Court.
Okay, next fight up is a heavyweight bout between Ben Rothwell and Chris Barnett. Rothwell, the favorite here, minus 350. He's a veteran. We've seen in his fights, he likes to close the distance. He's got dirty boxing. He can wrestle. He's definitely got that knockout power. Going up against Chris Barnett in his UFC debut. But even though it's his UFC debut, he does have a record of 21-6. So he's not a newbie. He's got a lot of experience. He is the underdog here at plus 250. And unlike Rothwell, he likes to fight from a distance. He's got those spinning kicks. He also has the knockout power like Rothwell. This should be a really fun fight to watch. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I hope so. Rothwell might make it a little boring. Chris Barnett is really exciting though. Like I'm really excited. I am excited for this one. I just hope it's not a boring one because Rothwell looked crappy at weigh-ins. Yeah. And kind of the same thing with DFS. Like I think these guys are both it's a make or break fight. Both Rothwell is probably going to be one of the most expensive guys on the card, because he's one of the bigger favorites, obviously. Barnett has some finishing potential here. Rothwell looked the last 3 fights in a row, he's looked worse and worse physique wise. Barnett was always a real big dude, and it looks like he's losing some weight. So he looks like super saggy, always like real flabby, but he looks even flabbier than normal, but it's actually because he's like trimming some weight. He is just the way bigger dude. Like in a if there was like a 230 pound, call it 235 pound division, I don't know. Rothwell might be able to make that. Maybe not quite right, but Rothwell weighed in at the limit 265, and he probably had to cut some weight to do that. Barnett was right under that at like 263, I think. So I think that bodes better for Barnett. I'm just suddenly a little sketched out. 2 days ago, Rothwell is one of the safest parlay legs on the card. Like Rothwell and Silva are kind of the only safe ones, and I'm a little sketched out about Rothwell now. Barnett could do the flashier stuff that the judges remember if it's a close fight. He's got the spinning techniques. He's really explosive. He's super athletic for being so seemingly out of shape that he is. Rothwell, though, one of the reasons why we love MMA is because somebody can just learn so much about something that they just become so good at it. And, anybody can do it. And Hoist Gracie was able to beat guys bigger than him just because he learned so much more than them. It's like magical, right? And I like to think that Ben Rothwell just is levels above Barnett because he's just learned more. So, Rothwell's definitely the pick. I've got him in parlays for sure, but most of those were placed before today. I'm not running to go place him in any parlays after the weigh-ins. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I think Rothwell's an okay prop. Inside the distance. I think he's live for a finish here.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a prop to bring down that wild, minus 345 or whatever it still is, I think he's live to finish.
And you did call it. He's one of the priciest in DFS on DraftKings. He's 9,200 and Barnett at 7,000, which is not a terrible value, but
no, not terrible. Heavyweight fights, it is risky, so they're heavyweights, so you want high exposure to them both ways because one punch on the temple could finish it, right? So yeah, that value for Barnett, I definitely don't mind that punt play at all.
Yeah.
And I think Rothwell is kind of like a core play.
Yeah. All right. So moving into our main card, if I still have these all in the right order, it switches so much I don't know.
Yeah.
But all right, starting off the main card is Bill Algio versus Ricardo Ramos, featherweight bout. Bill Algio they're both really similar. They're both really good kickers, kind of unorthodox in their fighting. In the weigh-ins, Algio did have like a bit of his size advantage, but I don't know. It's a pick'em. It's Algio at minus 126 and Ramos at minus 102. So it really just, you don't know which way this one's going to go. What are you thinking?
It is a tough one. I do like Algio. He had a good fight against Ricardo Lamas previously. And so that was a really gritty performance by him. Close fight. You said it really well. They're very similar. Algio's bigger. To me, it's that simple. And I think he's just got better experience on paper. So, I think it's a close fight. I think Algio. This one's tough. Like I can't even think of a prop. Like this fight could end 6 different ways.
All I have written down is fight goes the distance at minus 182, and that's risky. Like you don't know.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised it's almost 2-1. I could see it. Neither one of them has a ton of finishing ability, but I guess if I was gonna say one of these guys finish, I guess it would be Algio. So I guess maybe that minus 182 is fair, but they both have like black belts. I think I know Algio does. So to me, the size and the fact that Ramos really doesn't have the takedown ability, in my opinion, to dictate where it goes. I think Algio will have a little more flexibility there. Should have a little more control on the clinch.
Yeah.
Hypothetical wrestling advantage. Nullify the jiu-jitsu. A little longer on the feet. So I'll go Algio.
And DFS on DraftKings, we've got Algio at 8,500 and Ramos at 7,700.
I think it's pass on both overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a little skinnier than that minus 185 or whatever to go to the decision, but can't argue with it too much. So it could be kind of a low volume affair. I don't see either one of these guys riding out a ton of top time. Don't see an early knockout.
Right.
So I don't think that's quite cheap enough for the underdog. And it's just a pass. Tough one though.
All right. Next up, we've got a flyweight bout between David Dvorak and Juan Camilo Ronderos. Dvorak is the favorite here, minus 480. He is on a 15-fight win streak right now, 2 of those in the UFC. Good striking. He's got a really good low kick. Always, he's got decent boxing, decent grappling. He's got a good fight IQ. He's just really well-rounded. Going up against Ronderos, stepping in very late notice here, so I don't have a ton of information on him. This is his UFC debut. He's the underdog at plus 350, and I just think he's got a lot of guts stepping in so short notice for his debut. That's just that's respectable. And including his amateur fights, he's on a 13-fight win streak. His pro fights, he's on a 4-fight win streak. He did come in overweight at weigh-ins today, 3.5 pounds overweight. I believe he just got a fine for that for the late notice fight. What are you thinking about this one?
Yeah, so he's only 4-0. We were able to find some tape. We posted a reel of it. This crazy arm lock where it dislocates the guy's shoulder, and the guy was on top, and the guy was so pissed after getting his arm snapped that the ref pushed the guy who got submitted off, pushed him off because he was so mad at Medeiros for submitting him. I don't know what it was. It didn't seem like he held on too long or anything, but it was a crazy submission, a painful Like how you can't hear pictures, you can't hear the silent video. You could like hear this thing. Got well wishes to Jacare, by the way. Wow, what a snap! Like that was a crazy submission there by Muniz. But so yeah, it's a tough fight. I do think Dvorak's going to absolutely roll here. Medeiros has maybe a good future, 4-0, and good jiu-jitsu game from the limited tape we could find. But Dvorak's huge. Like Medeiros is 5'4", and I think Dvorak's like 5'9" or something, and it weigh-ins gigantic. So absolutely, I think Dvorak's like minus 500 or minus 600, but at this point, so I do think he's safe to go ahead and plug in that parlay though. Minus 480. I'd put him in the parlay for sure. He's going to absolutely roll here. I don't think Medeiros is going to be able to get him down. I didn't see a whole lot of good off wrestling in the tape. That submission was from the bottom, but Dvorak's going to roll here.
Yeah. And he is one of the pricier ones on DFS. DraftKings Dvorak at 8,800 and Medeiros at 6,800.
So interestingly, Dvorak, that 8,800 pricing is from oh god, I'm blanking. Whoever he was supposed to fight just now.
It's the
guy who just got pulled.
I'm blinking too.
God, sorry.
Oh
yeah, Julian Paiva.
Yeah.
Julian Paiva. So that 8,800. Is super cheap now because
it didn't change when he got a new opponent.
Didn't change. So now Dvorak's going to be the highest owned. I'm just now realizing this. He's going to be the highest owned fighter on DFS. I think you have to play him. You have to play him at 8,800. You just have to. All formats, every lineup.
All right, moving on to our next one. I'm very excited for middleweight bout: Jack Hermansson versus Edmund Shabazian. Hermansson is the favorite here, minus 158. Hermansson, we've seen a lot of him. He's a great grappler. Just had a great fight against Marvin Vettori. That was like the highest amount of exchanges or
significant strikes.
Yeah, just so high volume, crazy fight.
We told you guys to stack that fight. If you stack, that was in the optimal lineup.
And even though he did lose that fight, like he showed a great performance, and he's trying to get back in the title picture because now Vettori is going on to fight for the title, and Hermansson wants to get back there. So they're both so good, and then Edmund, the underdog, at plus 124. He's got good takedown defense. Like Hermansson's going to try to get him down, but he's got good defense, good get-up game. He's good on his feet. He's got variation in his striking, heavy strikes, body kicks, head kicks. He's got a good IQ. But on top, to counteract all that, he is round one or bust from what we've seen. So what do you think here?
That's interesting. So Brunson was able to take him down easily, but Brunson has really good wrestling. Brunson takes down, I don't know, Brunson's a smart guy. He's like, find me the worst wrestler in the division, Kevin Holland, Edmund Shabazian. He just goes in and beats him. He's a smart guy. Darren Till, I'm a little nervous for Till. Till's a slim favorite, but I think Brunson might be able to wrestle him. So anyway, Brunson's a tough fighter. He's a good wrestler, but he was able to wrestle Edmund. It's interesting because a lot of folks are saying, Jack has to just survive that early storm, kind of how you put it, Edmund's first round or bust. But it's interesting because to me, Jack, he gets his submissions early or not at all. He likes guillotines, heel hooks. He likes submissions that have one thing in common, like dryness. He needs grip. Some guys, they get a lot of greasy, sweaty, bloody submissions, like rear naked chokes, right? Where they're able to slip in and, get a choke, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. To me, you could almost say Jack's first round sub or bust. We put Jack first round sub into parlays last time that that didn't hit obviously, but he had Vettori in trouble round one. I think round one submission is a great prop. I don't know what round one submission is for. It's like the method in round prop, but Edmund, if he can survive, I see it the other way. I think Edmund needs to survive that early storm, and then he could win the striking for 10 minutes. Just using the reach, kind of like Marvin did, just technical. Jack's not a terrible striker, but if you just stay technical, you can outbox him easily. So, Jack's the official pick. Jack should have the wrestling. Jack has early finishing ability, but I'm a little concerned about Edmund winning 8 minutes of striking here.
What did you want to see? Hermanson sub round one?
Round one
is plus 950.
See, that actually shows that they're hip to it. It used to be like plus 1600. And yeah. So I don't know if that's quite. I guess that is kind of worth it. I mean, I think if Jack wins, it's either by decision or first round submission. I do not think he gets a second or third round submission here. I don't think he TKOs Edmund. He could. He's got heavy ground and pound, but I think Edmund's gonna be okay enough to survive. So I think Shabazian decision, Jack decision, or Jack first round sub. The official pick is Jack.
And what about DFS? DraftKings, we've got Jack Hermanson at 8,900 and Edmund at 7,300.
I think they're both great plays. This is one of the fights that's least likely to go to the cards. Minus 205 to end inside the distance.
Right.
And I think Jack especially is really good DFS play, even though he's the pricier one.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we've got a women's featherweight bout between Felicia Spencer and Norma Dumont. Both these ladies kind of similar. They're both very talented grapplers, but Felicia's a little stronger on the ground. She's got really good control on the ground and pound, and her top game is just amongst the best in the division. Whereas Norma on her feet might have an advantage over Felicia. She's got a little better striking game. This one should hopefully be fun to watch. What are you thinking?
I think it will be fun to watch. Yeah. And this is big for this division. This is a division that doesn't have a lot of contenders. They just lost Megan Anderson. It's Amanda Nunes. Just like a lot of people hate on her, and they're just like, oh, Amanda Nunes is getting free fake clout, pretend double champ running 135 and this 145 division that's not a real division.
I just want to talk.
Yeah. Well, go tell Amanda Nunes that. Yeah. Good point. So to me, yeah, she deserves it. Maybe Kayla, Kayla Harris, that big, strong chick from LFA. She might be a really good matchup for Amanda Nunes, but I don't know if she can ever make 145. She fights at 155 currently, but she's a monster. So anyway, the thing with Norma Dumont is she was on a winning streak, out wrestling chicks. Megan Anderson knocked her out round one. I don't know if it was round one, but it was like a one-punch knockout. Megan Anderson knocked her out.
Yep.
So we incorrectly picked Ashley Evans Smith, and Norma Dumont came in and just put heavy, peppery striking on her.
Yeah.
Norma came in heavy to that fight. It was at 135. This fight's at 145, and Norma is going to look really comfortable. I'll tell you this. The UFC would love for Norma Dumont to come in here and starch Felicia Spencer, and all of a sudden they have some new awesome prospect at 145. They don't want to put Felicia Spencer back in a title fight. That was the most boring Amanda Nunes fight we've ever seen. And Norma Dumont's more marketable.
Yeah.
I kind of think the UFC knows something here. And I'm not big on those narratives of like, oh, well, the UFC wants this person to win or lose. But this one seems like glaringly obvious. Norma Dumont, both of these fighters should probably not fight at 145. Spencer's just like not as shredded as a lot of fighters. And Dumont, she's not thick, but she's just like, she's muscly. She's got like really big backside, and that's so she could fight at 135. She has in the past, just had trouble making weight last time, right? So it's a little bit of a tough one. I think if it stays standing, Dumont is going to have the striking edge for sure. We know that Spencer's got the striking durability. She was able to take that striking for 25 minutes. Well, not, she was able to take it for 5 rounds. From Nunes, but I think Dumont is a very live dog here. If Spencer gets on top, she's live for a finish too. So I think Spencer's actually a decent GPP play where you're looking for finishers, you're looking for low-owned fighters. I don't think either one of these fighters should be in a cash game for you, and I don't think Spencer should be in a parlay. I think Norma's a live dog for sure.
Yeah. All right. And DFS Norma is 7,500 and Spencer at 8,700.
Thank you. That's a little pricey for Spencer.
I agree. 7,500 for Norma Dumont is not bad though at all.
It's not bad. The thing is, I don't think she's going to knock her out. Like, I think Norma is probably could win a decision here, and it'd be low scoring. So it might not be the terrible punt play. If you if you can't, if that's the best you can afford, and mainly cash. It's weird, yeah. So, but because I don't think she's going to score high in a win.
Right.
But she's got pop on her punches. Just Felicia Spencer's taking the hardest punches any woman ever has, Yeah. So, yeah. Well.
All right, moving on to this next.
Don't ask Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy.
Oh God.
Disagrees. Sorry. Fuck him.
All right. Heavyweight bout between Justin Tapa and Jared Bandera. Tapa is the favorite here, minus 192. We know he's got really good low kicks. He's got that lead right hook that's devastating. He's got good boxing, good timing. He's going up against Jared Bandera, the underdog here at plus 150. Decent boxing. He's got some striking variation, decent grappling. He looked good at the weigh-ins, like in better shape than he normally does. So yeah, this should be a good one. I'm definitely leaning Tapa, but what are you thinking?
Yeah, it's a tough one. They both have clear path to victory here. Yeah. I'm actually surprised this fight's that wide. I do think that Tapa's gonna win. Tapa versus Carlos Felipe. Maybe one of the best fights that no one will ever remember, honestly. Like low key, top one. It's tough to say top 100 UFC fights ever, but one of the top fights of the last year. Yeah. They're just putting their heads together and just boxing. The thing is, like, Vanderaal's not going to do that with Justin Tapa. Like, Vanderaal wants to get on top of him for sure. So it is sketchy. It's a sketchy one. I do think the Tapa is going to be able to stay on his feet and is going to put heavy hands on him. I got Tapa. I think Tapa's a good. I think both. This is one of the fights that's least likely to go to. It might be the least likely. It's minus 325. So I think that might be the most likely to end inside the distance, right? So you should 100% be on both sides of this. If you're playing 100 lineups, you should have like 45 with Tapa, 45 with Vandera, like high exposure both ways.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a fun one to watch, I hope. Otherwise, it's going to be like a super bad cardio, like watching these guys run a marathon. Or
time to walk your dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So hoping that Tapa stays on his feet and puts on a show.
And their DraftKings prices are Tapa 9,000 and Bandera 7,200.
Yeah, stand by it. Play them both.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our co-main event that I'm very excited for. Women's strawweight bout between Yalan and Carla Esparza. This is a pick'em fight right now. Yalan at minus 124 and Carla at minus 102. Yalan on an 11-fight win streak, 6 in the UFC. We've seen her amazing kicks. We've seen her striking. She's been moving up so quickly. And I'm just a huge Yalan fan. Sorry, I'm a little biased. She's got really good takedown defense. She gets up well. Like every time I've watched her, I've been so entertained and so impressed. I'm very excited, but I am nervous. Carla Esparza is a very good matchup for her. Longtime strawweight fighter. She's a strong wrestler. She's just going to try to keep Yalan on the ground the whole time, which will be interesting to see because Yalan does not like to stay on the ground. I'm very excited to watch this one. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, really excited. I think this fight's 100% going to go to the judges. It's probably minus 350 or something. So whichever one you pick, just pick them to win by decision. So what is it? Do you have it?
I have parlay fight goes the distance with minus 350.
Yeah, absolutely.
Parlay. And then Yalan by decision, which I played, was plus 145.
Yeah, I think that's a great play.
Yeah.
Last time she fought Claudia Gadelha, Yalan by decision was a client play, and also live betting Yalan was a client play that actually turned out to not be the best because we thought Claudia would win round 1, but Yalan just put it on her the whole fight. So she wasn't a huge favorite. After round 1, she was just a slightly bigger favorite than she was. She started at minus 120, and then going into round 2, she was like minus 140 or something like that. But yeah, she, if she does have good get-ups, the thing about the last fight was you said Gadelha is going to be gassed at the beginning of round 2, and that was absolutely the case. And we said she's not even going to go for takedowns anymore. She's just going to fall in love and like accept that she's going to lose. She's going to just try to knock her out. She's going to say, my only path to victory here is to knock her out. So she's going to stand up the whole final 2 rounds. And that's exactly what happened. Carla Esparza is better than that.
Yeah.
She has better cardio. She's smarter, and it's scary. So, this one could get real messy. Esparza could absolutely get some takedowns here. So I like Zhang a lot. The UFC wants Zhang to win, and have this new exciting contender.
Yeah.
It's just a super sketchy one. Esparza's the real deal.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, me too. It's I'm glad it's the co-main event. It deserves to be. It's pretty much for #1 contender, basically, unless something wild happens, right?
Yeah.
So
I didn't actually notice until the weigh-ins how much taller Yalan was too, which makes her a little more susceptible for those takedowns, which is scary.
Yeah.
She is a good few inches taller.
Yeah.
She was kind of towering over a little.
Yep, that is true. That is typically the case for her, at least. She does a nice job of like clinching, getting a plum, getting her elbows together and fighting off takedowns and good get-ups, like you said. But it is tough. Like, she uses the side kicks to keep people away. Esparza's going to want to feint and kind of like Joe Frazier, get to the inside. They're back in the apex here, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think they're back at the apex in the small cage. It's going to make it a little tougher for Zhang to bounce around. So, yeah, it's at the apex. So, small cage, something to consider. Close. Zhang by decision, official pick.
And DFS, we've got Zhang at 8,600 and Carla at 7,600.
I think it's a pass on both. Carla might be an okay punt play because if she could get a lot of control time.
Right.
But I think it's pass on both.
All right, moving on.
Sorry, I meant to say no. Esparza does have nice adaptability, right? So she close win over Marina Rodriguez, close win over Michelle Watterson, where she like wasn't really able to get the takedowns, and so she was like, okay, well, karate hottie, I'll beat you in the striking. It's really impressive. A lot of respect for Carla Esparza, as you can tell.
Yeah.
So it's not like she's a fish out of water on the feet. It's just Zhang with that reach, I think will be able to do the trick. Just gotta have a healthy respect for Carla.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on to our main event here, a bantamweight bout between Rob Font and Cody Garbrandt. This is a pick'em fight for the main event. I'm so excited for this one. Rob at -118, Cody at -108. So Rob Font has got great boxing, great grappling, good get-up game. He's definitely got some knockout power, and he's got a 6-inch reach advantage on Cody Garbrandt here, which could be a problem. But Cody Garbrandt, former champion, great striking. He's very fast. He's got that speed, great boxing. The only thing is he's been criticized a tiny bit for not having much of a chin. But what do you think about this one?
Yeah, you really hit it well. So Font, been a big fan of his for a long time. We were heavy on him against Marlon Moraes. That was really exciting, and knocked him out with like a jab. Moraes probably came back too fast after getting shadow realmed by Sandhagen. I hope I'm remembering that all correctly. Cody was out for COVID for a while. He had vertigo and I don't think blood clots. I think that was Chris Weidman, but Cody had vertigo and some other really crazy side effect from having COVID, which kept him out over this whole last year and sketches me out. Yeah. His last fight against the Sun Sal was, I think, top 10 knockout of all time, holding onto the cage, loading up like an anime fighter and knocking him out at the end of round 1 and then walking off. So sick. The thing was, he was peppering a Sun Sal with the low kicks in that fight, the calf kick, and we've never seen that out of Cody. So love to see that. And you have to imagine that he's been refining that. I think that could be an element that, I mean, if I know it, surely Rob Font knows it, but it's not like what Cody's known for at all. And it was extremely effective against the Sun Sal. You have to expect to see that low kick here.
Yeah.
Font has the reach and might just make him pay every time he tries it, though. You might just, throw a straight right up the pipe. So, Cody, you hit it well, hit it on the head well. Like Cody used to have the chin, the durability issues. It's because he just gets sucked into firefights. You know, he would have TJ Dillashaw hurt and then get too sloppy and get clipped. He would get into firefights with Pedro Munoz. And so, you know, he stopped that. And before the Assunção fight, he said, hey, I've had a long layoff. Like he said, my brain's had some time to recover. He didn't use those words, but he's like, chin's not going to be an issue anymore. And it wasn't, but it was only a 1-round fight, and he was smart. He didn't get into brawls. So I don't think that counts as seeing his chin hold up necessarily. If he comes through this fight against Rob Font without getting knocked out, then all those chin questions, all those chin questions are out the window. I don't think that happens. I think Rob Font catches him, and I don't think he has to catch him too many times. So yeah, you know, it's I like Cody a lot. Liked him back on the day on Ultimate Fighter, you know, when he was just like the backup coach and was, you know, getting in Connor's face all the time. You know, his fight against Dominic Cruz is one of the best performances I've ever seen. You know, he out Cruz just with the footwork, you know, just in there, just styling on him, taunting him, and just unhittable. One of the best performances in a title fight I've ever seen. And but that's the only time we've seen that Cody Garbrandt. And he loves saying it. He's like, oh, this fight camp, yeah, we were seeing Dominic Cruz vibes. Like, he loves talking about getting back to that, but it's the only time we've seen it. Even in the Assunção fight, that wasn't that same game plan. It wasn't that same movement, technique. It wasn't the same head movement, footwork. So Cody could be the best fighter in the world on a given night. I think Rob Font's just a little too hungry and gonna make it messy, and he can get into a messy exchange, get hit. I mean, we know how much power Garbrandt has. We all know that. You know, some of the best power at 135 we've ever seen, but Font can get into a couple messy exchanges like that and come out just fine. And I think Cody will take a lot of damage in those exchanges.
Yeah. And what are you thinking on DFS? DraftKings, we've got Rob Font at 8,300 and Cody Garbrandt at 7,900.
So this fight is not favored to go to the distance. It's minus 260-ish, but you know, it's a 5-round fight. So like, if it was a 3-round fight, you have to assume it might be like, I don't know, maybe only minus 180 to end inside the distance.
Right.
But either way, it's a 5-round fight. They have, you know, 40% more time to rack up points. And especially Rob Font, you know, I think they're both great plays, but not stackable, not even in cash, because I don't think this one goes the distance. They're not going to have a Max Holloway fight. They're not going to have a Vettori versus Hermanson fight where they both put up a ton of points. Somebody's going to sleep. So I think play both sides like Mac, but Rob Font is who I'll be heavier on.
Yeah. All right. I think that's a wrap on the main event. Did you want to go into some parlays for including some future cards?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Some of these, like FanDuel has some fights that BetMGM, even DraftKings, for the first time in their freaking pathetic life, cards that are some fights that the other cards don't. So BetMGM's the best place to bet Amanda Nunes. She's minus 700. I pretty much emptied the bankroll just like on her, and then on her and Leon, on her, Leon and Cyril Gahn, on her, Leon and Figgy. Like, I pretty much just emptied the bank on her because she's minus 700. So you know, wish me well. So the one of the future, like the most future fight on FanDuel that you can get is Thiago Santos versus Johnny Walker. I think money's going to pour in on Thiago Santos. He's minus 160. Johnny Walker is the most chinny fighter in the UFC, in my opinion. You know, when he fought, son of a gun. When he just fought the heavy-handed striker, like I can't describe him. But he was hurt bad before he finally got the finish. I want to say Steele, but it's not Jeff Neal, but it's something like, but he's, yeah. So Thiago Santos, I like him. Amanda Nunes minus 800 on FanDuel. You know, like I said, minus 700 on DraftKings. Cyril Gahn versus Volkov. Cyril Gahn's only minus 144 on some cards still. Other cards, money's pouring in on him. He's getting up to like minus 150, minus 155. I think Cyril Gahn is a lock versus Volkov. I like Volkov a lot, but Cyril Gahn's got the footwork, the ground game, everything. I think Cyril Gahn's going to just absolutely style on Volkov. Feel very safe playing him. He's only minus 144. I've got him in a lot of parlays. Yeah. Whereas Adesanya minus 275, I cannot push the button. He was minus 250 and money's come in on him. He's now minus 275. I think Vettori is just way too live here, way too live to make it sloppy. Not touching that one. Figgy minus 250. I've got a lot on that. He got robbed last time against Brandon Moreno for it to go to a draw. He should have won that fight. He absolutely won the 5th round, and there was a judge that gave the 5th round to Brandon Moreno, which caused it to be a draw because Joe Rogan's screaming and yelling. Yeah, Brandon Moreno. The champion is rocked. Wow. The champion is rocked. Joe Rogan. So
don't sponsor.
And Figgy was in the hospital all night. Figgy's an absolute lock. Leon Edwards minus 450. You got to get in on that way you can. Some cards have him, or some books have him at minus 500 now. But so Leon and Amanda Nunes, just absolute locks. Put them in everything. Cara Rosa versus Sajara Eubanks. Cara Rosa is one of the best women's fighters in my opinion. She's minus 200. I've got Cara Rosa in a lot. I feel more confident in Cara Rosa at minus 200 than I do in Izzy. In a lot of people. Cara Rosa, I think at minus 200 is an absolute lock. Lauren Murphy versus JoJo Calderwood. I love JoJo. I am amazed that Lauren Murphy is not a 2-1 favorite here. Lauren Murphy is going to take JoJo down and beat her 95% of the time. If they fought 100 times, I'd be amazed that JoJo even won those 5. I'd want to watch those 5 and be like, how on earth? I'm Lauren Murphy should be in title contention. Lauren Murphy is training with the Black Beast. Lauren Murphy is one of the best wrestlers in the division. JoJo's not. Lauren Murphy is an absolute lock at a pick 'em up. It's minus 110, minus 110. That blows my mind. Movsar Evloev minus 215 over Hakeem Dawodu, lock. Jamal Hill was minus 300 over Paul Craig. Money's been coming in on Paul Craig, but I think Jamal Hill's pretty safe there. Jamal Hill's minus 260, so you might wait on it. Money might keep pouring in on Paul Craig, but I think Jamal Hill can stand up. You stay up, pepper him all day.
Yeah.
Mason Jones over Alan Patrick, lock. Dusko Tudorovich over Maki Pitolo, lock. So Manon Fiorot, I like her a lot, but Marina Morosh is tough. I actually put Manon Fiorot in some parlays, and I've stopped once I started looking closer and watched Morosh's last couple fights. She's also really big for the division, like Fiorot is. So that's a really tough one. I'm excited to watch. Angela Hill, we were telling you guys when Angela Hill was minus 190 that we were amazed. We had Angela Hill in a ton of bets. You guys have seen it. Parlays that were about to win $1,000 and they cashed once Angela Hill, the fight got canceled. But I had her at plus 190, huge underdog. Now she's plus 136. Money continues to pour in on Angela Hill. The Miguel Baeza versus Santiago Ponzinibbio fight, really exciting. Miguel Baeza is minus 138. I think he's going to win. I think that's safe. I like Santiago a lot. Maybe I'm salty because I had Santiago in a lot of parlays his last fight and he lost. But I think Baeza is way better than Santiago Ponzinibbio. And that is about it. So the way that we've killed it, you want to play the Warriors minus 4.5 or the Grizzlies plus 4.5, right? They're both minus 110. Half the people are going to be right and win $100. Half the people are going to be wrong and lose 110, right? Or they win 90 and lose 100, right? Depending on what if you bet the 110 to win 100 or what, right? But you guys get the point. That's how Vegas builds billion-dollar casinos. They don't care who wins. They just want action on both sides, and they take that slim margin, right? The way that we've just killed Vegas is by putting in lock fighters in the future, putting every bet we want to make, adding Valentina and Kamaru to it. Every bet we want to make, adding Amanda Nunes to it. It has made us a ton of dough. It cost us a ton of dough versus Conor in the Conor fight. Cost us a lot with Curtis Blades. And then there was one, Bobby Green, lost a lot on Bobby Green versus Thiago Moises. But it's rare. I feel like there was a recent one too, a more recent one, but it wasn't as drastic as Curtis Blades. But that's the way that instead of winning 90 or losing 100, I lose 100 or win 180 every time. And so we're really big on these futures, and that's also how we beat line movement. And so we get Khabib at -255, and then at fight time he's -400, and a bunch of units roll in when Khabib wins, right? So these futures are important to look at, in my opinion. Some people, and it's also like the only way I can save money. So just put it in the Nunes bank.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. We're really excited for these fights. We got Yalan, and a couple of our favorite fighters are fighting.
Yeah, I'm really excited. There's a lot of good ones, a lot of close ones. Like, it should be exciting all night, really.
It's a bad night for parlays, but it's a great night for DFS. There's a lot of havoc, a lot of underdogs and stuff. So a great night for DFS.
Right.
If you're playing DFS and you're only playing 1 or 2 lineups, make sure you play those tournaments that are single entry, right? Make sure you don't get in a tournament where you're only playing a couple lineups and it allows 50, because everyone else is going to play 50, right? So let us know if you have any questions on DFS. I think this is great DFS week. And make sure you focus on those fights that are most likely to end inside the distance.
Yeah. Are there any comments we need to?
Oh, we haven't looked. Oh, lots. Nice. Jackson, my boy. Michael, my boy. Jono, nice.
Sorry, we've
Fade
been
China.
on
Fade China. Yeah, so that was interesting. The UFC was hoping to build up a bunch of studs in that last card, and many of them shit the bed. What fight is that even? What fight is that? That is a Chinese fighter. Oh, yeah, Jianan? Yeah. I can see it, but no, she's different, dude. She's different, and she's not just like one of these new she's not just like a new one that they're trying to force on you because everyone loved Wei Li. Yan Jianen's the truth. Word. Well, thank you guys for joining. Holler at us on we'll put the official picks out on Instagram tomorrow with props parlays. The props have been killing it. Parlays have been doing pretty good. And we're hoping that this weekend they get really back to normal. Like, we're hoping we hit all 6 parlay legs this week, like we occasionally and often do. So
yeah. And if you don't already, go follow us on Instagram at Free UFC Bet Picks. We're on Twitter too at Free UFC Bet Picks. If you enjoyed our insight, please give us a like. It helps us move up there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And
turning up and tuning in.
Turning up and tuning in.
Yeah, NBA playoffs. We got so we give all of UFC picks for free. We have a Patreon, super cheap. It's specifically for all the other sports. We give the most detailed info on other sports you can possibly imagine. We got lots of super happy patrons. It's $4.99 a month. And we actually pay for like a lot of expert picks and then put them on there for you guys. So check it out too. It's a steal. NBA playoffs are here. NHL playoffs are here. It's one of the best times of year. And UFC just is the icing on the cake. So hope everyone has a great weekend.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, and enjoy those fights. They're going to be really good, and we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Nice.